Hello and welcome to this short overview video for Cisco's Firepower Management Center. In this video I'm going to talk about the policy deployment, particularly around the user interface improvements with policy deployments and also the improvements in policy deploy times. So let's begin with opening up a new policy. So we're going to create a policy now. I'm going to call it empty, and we're going to apply the default action of intrusion prevention. We're assigning it to a firewall that already has a policy assigned, so it's going to warn us about that. Now the purpose of this is I want to show you when we open this policy, and you can see there are no rules in there. When we hit save and go to deploy, you can see straight away that we've got a status of pending, and if we do a preview, even though we haven't added any rules into the access control policy, you can see here that this is actually what's going to be committed down to the device. So it's got all of the kind of the default settings, the security, intelligence configurations, the default actions, any URL and malware configuration. All of that is in there, even though we haven't actually put in any specific rules ourselves. Now when it comes to deploying the policy, you can see here that we've got a couple of new options for you within the 6.6 release. The first one being if you take a look at the icon there that has the kind of the eye on there, that allows you to view policies or just view the policies that have had changes made to them, or you can actually view all of the policies, and you can see that the policies that have had changes made are kind of bold, the ones that haven't are grayed out. The icon above there is about the policy selection, and that now allows you to choose which component of the policy you actually want to deploy. So you can actually be selective in this position. So if you would, for example, only made changes to the intrusion policy, or you'd only made changes to a NAT policy, for example, then you could opt just to push those changes down rather than pushing down the entire configuration. So this gives us much more flexibility when it comes to actually pushing our deployments down to the actual managed device, and also can reduce a lot of time. So if you haven't made changes to your access control rules, but you have made changes to other portions of the config, then it's quite easy now just to choose which portion of the policy you actually want to deploy down to the device when it comes to that deployment choice. Another enhancement we've made to the policy deployment is the estimate policy time. So as you can see there in the top right corner, we were able to click on estimate, and what that will give us now is an estimate of how long the system thinks this policy will take to deploy down to a managed device. So you can see here that with this particular policy, even though we haven't added any specific rules to ourselves to the access control policy, with all of the default settings in there, it's going to take approximately 2 minutes to deploy down to the device. So let's go ahead now and click deploy. So when we do this, you'll see that we get our in progress bar over in the status column, and you will still see the notifications being displayed of where it's actually at during the whole deployment process. So you'll see the policy deployment, the pre-deployment, and all the time that those notifications are going through. You've also got the visibility of the in progress and the percentage complete. So it's kind of giving you a bit better understanding of how long the policy is actually taking to be deployed down to the device. Once we've got down through to a policy deployment completed, then obviously we know that that's been done. And if we take a look at the job history, so if we look at the task, for example, here, you can see deployment to device is successful, and we've got a time that it took as well. So we can compare that against the policy estimates or the policy deploy estimate tool that we now have. So let's go back into our access control policies. And now what I'm going to do, we can see that the empty policy is targeting our FTD device. I'm going to open up this third policy, the upgrade policy. Now this one, as you can see, has 500 rules in there, so a much more busy policy. You can see down there we can page through and look at all those if we want to. But what I want to do now is change the policy assignment. So I want to assign this access control policy to the FTD device that we have in this demo environment. So I'm going to choose that FTD, hit OK, and it will warn me that that device already has a policy applied to it. So you can see there it's got the empty policy applied to it. Do I want to continue with the change? So I'll say yes. So we're now assigning the upgrade policy to the FTD device that we have in this environment. Let's save the changes, and then we're going to go and take a look at the deployment options that we have. So again, if we go to deployment, you'll see that it's pending. We can do a preview. Again, we've got the option to choose or to view or hide the components that haven't been modified. And we've also got the option to selectively deploy if we wish to as well. So again, we want to make changes to just to portions of this, we can do. But let's deploy everything because this is a new policy. And let's look at the changes that have been made. So you can see here again, we've got, again, a lot of added functionality. And you can see there's a legend at the top there that kind of shows you if the background color is kind of the red color, then it's been deleted. If it's green, then it's been an added component. Let's do an estimate. Again, it's going to take around 2 minutes. Let's hit deploy. And let's push this through again. So it goes from pending to in queue, and then it'll go to in progress. And again, we get the notifications as that policy is being deployed. So again, we'll wait for that to run through and reach the complete stage. And once we get there, again, we can compare what we had as an estimated policy deployment time with the actual policy deployment time. Now, we've done a lot of kind of background work in the actual deployment of policies. So hopefully you should see now an improvement in the times that it's actually taking to deploy your policies down to the managed devices. So we see that's been completed. Let's go back into our access control policy, and we can see now that we've assigned that to there, and we can see that it took roughly 2 minutes 8 seconds, which is in line with the policy deployment estimate that we had before we pushed that policy down to the device. We hope you found this video useful. Thanks for taking the time to watch it, and please come back and look out for more videos in this series.